Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and we're going to be talking about another trade. And surprisingly, it doesn't have to. It has to do with the Raptors yet again. It feels like the Raptors are somehow always involved in these trade rumors, and I think as we get closer and closer, the Raptors are a team that can sell very massively. I mean, with all the talent they have, you got Gary Trent Jr., you got Van Vliet, you have OG Anunoby. They're not going to trade him, but you have Siakam. There are so many players that the Raptors can trade, and they have so much trade value. And, of course, we're going to be talking about OG Anunoby. And we've already talked about OG Anunoby, if not once, twice. I talked about him last Friday, so exactly 1 week ago today. I talked about the potential trade that would send OG Anunoby to the Memphis Grizzlies. I think I did one more thing about OG, and I don't remember what team I was talking about, but the team I will be talking about today is a trade that would send OG Anunoby to the New York Knicks. I like this trade for the Knicks. I was talking about a trade for the Knicks last night, and I can't remember who it was. It was Kyle Kuzma, a possible trade that would send Kyle Kuzma to the New York Knicks. And I think that it's kind of very unlikely that happens. As Washington has said they are going to build around Kyle Kuzma. They are not going to be trading him. So, if you're interested in Kyle Kuzma, they're also interested in OG Anunoby. They've been calling with the New York Knicks, trying to work a deal out. They're willing to offer multiple first-round picks, and I love this trade idea for the Knicks. I love adding OG Anunoby in with Jalen Brunson. I think they would play really well together. Two young guys, two very talented players. Also, you pair OG Anunoby with Julius Randle and some of the other talented forwards that they have. Mitchell Robinson, I believe, is their starting five right now. I think it's changed a little bit this season. They have a nice, young, talented team. But I think the Knicks know that if they were to pull the trigger on this trade, they'd have to give up quite a lot. And let's get into that NBA trade package for this trade. So the Raptors would receive from the New York Knicks 3 players and 3 picks. Man, heavy haul for OG Anunoby because he is a good player, averaging 17.5 points per game this season, averaging about 6 points something rebounds per game. Has been a hell of a defensive player as well. Also but he's been a good shooter. He's been a lot of good things for the Raptors this season. Also, early in the season, he was playing such good basketball that a lot of people earlier in the season, around November, December, was considering this man an all-star. There were some things that, got to the point where he's not going to be an all-star, but this man, OG Anunoby right here, was definitely getting some all-star votes earlier in, end of November, beginning of December, the way he was playing, because he was playing some good basketball. So I think OG Anunoby would be really good for this Knicks squad. But the 3 players and the 3 picks that you have to give up to acquire him. Here are the 3 players. Isaiah Hartenstein, who is their backup center, averaging 4 or 3 points per game this season, averaging quite a few rebounds as well. Has been very big for them. I doubt that the Raptors would keep him. I don't think they cut him. If this trade happens before the trade deadline, let's just say it happens, days before the trade deadline. If, let's just say it happens tomorrow, right? Let's say this trade happens tomorrow, for instance, and then there's another 12 days till the trade deadline. I could see the Raptors trying to retrade Isaiah Hartenstein. A lot of contenders like the Nuggets and the Clippers are looking to trade for Isaiah Hartenstein, so maybe they try to flip Isaiah Hartenstein for whatever the Nuggets or Clippers are willing to offer. So that's a potential idea. So you're receiving Isaiah Hartenstein. That's one player. You're receiving Cam Reddish, who was averaging like 8 points per game this season until he stopped playing. The Knicks just fully cut him off of their rotation, and he just stopped playing. And from that point on, he has not came back. I mean, he hasn't played probably since November. I mean, probably like mid-November. He probably has not played for the Knicks, if not before then. Probably beginning November, middle November was the last time he played. Cut him off the rotation. I think mutually, I think they agreed to find him a new home. and then this would be his new home, probably for the rest of the season. His expiring contract, maybe if they liked him and he liked it there, maybe he would resign there, but who knows? The player that the Raptors would be locking up by he would be a free agent the next season, but is a really talented player, and I really like him, is Emmanuel Quickly. I like this kid. I think he's really talented. He's a good shooter. He's a good ball handler. He's a really good player. He reminds me a lot like Lou Williams, and I think he can be a really good player for the Raptors. It just depends what's happening, what's their situation. Let's say they trade Gary Trent Jr. and they end up keeping Fred VanVleet for the rest of the season. I'm thinking probably he'd be their starting two. Let's say they trade both VanVleet and Gary Trent with it, which I doubt they trade both. I'd say they probably only end up trading one. So then Quickly is probably going to be either the starting one or two, probably just depending on who is traded out of VanVleet or Gary Trent Jr. I would say that with both players being free agents, I would say the Raptors end up trading Gary Trent Jr. because I think they probably know that they have a decent chance of re-signing Fred VanVleet, right? So I would trade Gary Trent Jr. and keep VanVleet, and then Quickly would be the two if this trade happens. So that's it for players. Now you're receiving 3 first-round picks, which is what the Raptors want for first-round picks. So here are the first-round picks you are receiving. You're receiving a first-round pick from the New York Knicks that is the New York Knicks pick this season, and you're receiving a first-round pick from Dallas that is the Knicks that was from Dallas, from the Kristaps Porzingis Dallas-New York trade. And that is right now is at 18, and then the New York's pick is at 21. So right now that would be the 21st and 18th pick. Obviously that can change. It could go lower or higher for each one, but those are decent picks. You can get some decent players because if you make a bunch of trades in the deadline, you might need to add in some players at the draft if you're kind of going on a rebuild for Toronto. So in that case, you're probably would be better off with a bunch of first-round picks like that. And then the other first-round pick you receive is a 2024 first-round pick, which I do have it. I did put it as top 10 protected. I think that even though the Knicks, I think they know they probably wouldn't be in the top 10 in the 2024 season, probably would draw some interest from free agents with OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson there, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, with that team starting to, fully starting to, grow some strength. I think some players would want to go. Also, the Knicks have some trade value all throughout the league as well. They probably trade Derrick Rose and Evan Fournier as well, so they could get a decent player for those two or each one. So I don't know. So Knicks would be getting better by the trade deadline, look better team, do decent in the playoffs. Maybe some players would want to come there. So I think that the Knicks would be willing to give up their first round pick easily because I think they know they'll be a good team the next year. So I think they know it'll be a first round pick about 18 in the mid 20 in the early 20s. It'll be around the late teens, early 20s. So it'll be a pick that is worth trading. But the Raptors will ultimately, that's the pick that would be good for them possibly. So yeah, I like the trade for both teams. I like it for the Raptors because I think Quickly could be good for the Raptors. Also like it for the Raptors in other ways with those 3 first-round picks. Also like with Cam Reddish, I think he could be a good piece to them, and I think ultimately could be a long-term stay if things work out between the two teams. Maybe he does re-sign. And with Isaiah Hartenstein, he's probably not going to stay there just because of the lack of depth they have with the big man position. I just doubt that he'll stay on that roster. But you can flip him. Maybe you can get like a two or 3 second-round picks, or maybe you can get like a second-round pick and a decent player. So you can flip Isaiah Hartenstein for some decent stuff. So that could be good for the Raptors as well. For the Knicks, I like this. It takes their team to the next step forward, and possibly adding an OG with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. And then with putting Grimes off the bench, and then let's say you get rid of Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose and get some decent stuff from them, I think that you're starting to build a team here. And I think that with the Knicks, I think they'd ultimately I think they would, be a decent team in the playoffs. I think that they'd have a hard matchup. They're right now. I think the Knicks would probably either be the 7 seed or the 6 seed. I doubt they're going to be the 6 seed with the Heat and how they're playing basketball. So they're going to be the 7 or 8 seed right now. That's either a matchup against the Celtics, the 76ers, or the Bucks. So that is a very hard matchup, and I doubt you'd be able to win. I think you could take the Bucks a couple of games. I think you could maybe take the Bucks to 6 games, possibly. Celtics, you could maybe take them to 5. Sixers, you could take them to 6. So, yeah, I think if this trade happened, those are my predictions of what the outcome for the Knicks would be in the playoffs if they. So let's say you play if OG Anunoby was on the roster, I think that they would be able to take the Celtics to 5. I think they would be able to take the Sixers in 6, or not win in the series, but I think they'd be able to at least just lose in 6 games, which is better than a different outcome. If they didn't make this trade, I think they'd probably lose in 5 or get swept. They wouldn't get swept by Philly. They'd probably lose in 5 without this trade. So I think you're way better with this trade and possibly another trade and maybe some decent stuff in the buyout market. So we'll just see what the Knicks end up doing, and we'll see what the Raptors end up doing. These are 2 teams that are going to be a fun watch to see what they do in the trade deadline. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on this video and this trade idea, and peace out.